Bugatti told them this car could never be repaired. Not because the damage was too severe. Not because the technology didn't exist. But because Bugatti simply refused to let anyone fix it. Imagine spending $6 million on one of the rarest hypercars on Earth, only to be told that if it ever crashes, your only option is to pay whatever the manufacturer demands, or watch it become nothing more than a very expensive sculpture. That is exactly what happened. After a devastating accident, Bugatti declared this Chiron Pur Sport effectively dead. They quoted an eye-watering $1.7 million for repairs. When the owner declined, the company did something almost unheard of. They blacklisted the car. Its VIN was locked. Dealers around the world were forbidden from supplying official replacement parts. Even experienced Bugatti specialists couldn't help. As far as Bugatti was concerned, this hypercar would never drive again. But they underestimated one man. A self-taught mechanic working from a workshop in England decided to challenge one of the most exclusive car manufacturers on the planet. No factory support. No proprietary tools. No access to official parts. Just determination, creativity, and a refusal to accept the word impossible. And by the end of this story, even Bugatti's own engineers would reportedly struggle to believe what they were seeing. Stay with me, because what happens next completely changes the way we think about ownership, engineering, and whether manufacturers should really have the final say over the machines we buy. Channel intro. Welcome back to Turbo Drive, where we uncover the most unbelievable stories from the world of supercars, hypercars, engineering, and automotive innovation. If you're passionate about incredible builds, legendary machines, and the people bold enough to challenge the impossible, make sure you subscribe to Turbo Drive and turn on notifications. We've got many more stories like this coming your way. Now let's get into it. A hypercar that was never supposed to return. To understand why this story became so controversial, you first need to understand the car itself. This isn't just another Bugatti Chiron. It's the Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport, a machine so exclusive that only 60 examples were ever built. Every component was engineered with obsessive attention to detail. The carbon fiber monocoque. The quad-turbocharged W16 engine producing 1,500 horsepower. The titanium hardware. The aerodynamics. Everything about the Pur Sport was designed without compromise. Owning one is like owning a piece of automotive history. But exclusivity comes with a price. Maintaining one of these machines isn't as simple as visiting your local dealership. Many procedures require factory-trained technicians. Specialized software. Custom-built equipment. Even routine servicing involves processes unavailable to independent workshops. In other words, Bugatti controls almost every aspect of keeping these cars alive. So when one of them suffered catastrophic crash damage, everyone assumed there was only one path forward. Bugatti would repair it. Except, that didn't happen. The crash that changed everything. The accident left the front end heavily damaged. The airbags deployed. Critical structural components were compromised. The impact forced parts of the drivetrain out of alignment. To most people, it looked devastating. But Bugatti's assessment shocked everyone. Instead of simply recommending repairs, the company presented an estimate of roughly $1.7 million. When the owner chose not to proceed with the factory repair, Bugatti made another decision that ignited controversy across the automotive world. They refused to supply parts. Not just to the owner. To anyone. The vehicle's identification number, the VIN, was effectively blacklisted. That single decision transformed a damaged hypercar into something far more controversial. Because now, the debate wasn't just about fixing a car. It was about who really owns it. If you've paid millions of dollars for a vehicle, should the manufacturer still decide whether it deserves to exist? For many enthusiasts, the answer seemed obvious. But Bugatti clearly disagreed. A question bigger than one car. The story quickly spread through the automotive community. People weren't just talking about a wrecked Bugatti anymore. They were discussing something much bigger. The right to repair. Could manufacturers prevent owners from fixing products they legally purchased? Were independent mechanics becoming locked out of modern engineering? And if Bugatti could do this, would other manufacturers eventually follow? These questions divided opinions across the industry. Some argued Bugatti was protecting customer safety. Others believed the company was protecting something else. Its control. Whatever the motivation, one thing became clear. This Chiron Pur Sport wasn't just a damaged car anymore. It had become the center of one of the biggest right-to-repair debates the automotive world had ever seen. And then, someone decided to fight back. The man crazy enough to try. His name is Matt Armstrong. Unlike the engineers working inside Bugatti's headquarters, Matt didn't have factory certification. He wasn't surrounded by billion-dollar facilities. He didn't have proprietary diagnostic tools. He wasn't backed by one of the world's biggest automotive companies. He was simply a mechanic from Leicester, England. One who had built a reputation for restoring cars that everyone else considered beyond saving. Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Bentleys, high-performance machines that most workshops would write off. But even Matt admitted this project was on another level. This wasn't just another crashed supercar. This was arguably the most complicated rebuild of his career. And unlike every project before it, the manufacturer wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. That alone would have made most mechanics walk away. Matt did the opposite. He accepted the challenge. Not because it would be easy, but because everyone said it couldn't be done. The owner who refused to give up. The damaged Bugatti eventually found a new owner through auction. Most buyers saw an impossible project. A money pit. An expensive collection of broken carbon fiber. But content creator Alex Gonzalez saw something different. He believed the car deserved another chance. There was only one problem. Who on earth would even attempt to rebuild it? The answer came quickly. Matt Armstrong. Alex reached out with the idea. Matt knew exactly what he was getting into. No official parts. No technical assistance. No manufacturer support. And a worldwide audience waiting to see him fail. Accepting the project meant risking his reputation. If the rebuild failed, millions of viewers would watch it happen. If it succeeded, it would rewrite automotive history. Matt didn't hesitate. He said yes. Little did he know. The hardest part hadn't even begun. Because before the repairs could start, he first had to do something Bugatti insisted was impossible. Split one of the world's most advanced hypercars completely in half. And the way he managed to do it left the automotive world speechless. Bugatti had made one thing crystal clear. Without their specialized equipment, this Chiron Pur Sport wasn't supposed to come apart. According to the manufacturer, separating the car's carbon fiber monocoque from the rear drivetrain required proprietary tools and factory procedures that only Bugatti technicians had access to. In other words, the rebuild was over before it had even begun. Or so everyone thought. Standing in a modest workshop in Leicester, Matt Armstrong looked at one of the most advanced hypercars ever built. To Bugatti, it was a machine too sophisticated for independent mechanics. To Matt, it was simply another problem waiting to be solved. Instead of million-dollar equipment, his team relied on something far more ordinary. A two-post lift. Basic workshop tools. A lot of careful planning. And plenty of determination. Working alongside his father and his small team, Matt began the painstaking process of separating the front chassis from the rear of the car. Every bolt mattered. Every movement had to be precise. One mistake could destroy components worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. As the final fasteners came loose, the impossible happened. The Bugatti split into two pieces. Not inside a state-of-the-art factory in France. Not with proprietary robotic equipment. But inside an independent workshop using ingenuity instead of expensive machinery. It was the first major victory. But it also revealed the true extent of the damage. And things suddenly looked much worse. From the outside, the crash looked severe. But once the body panels were removed, the reality became painfully clear. The impact had pushed the engine forward. Cooling pipes had been crushed. Structural mounting points were bent. Several components designed to absorb crash forces had done exactly what they were engineered to do. They sacrificed themselves to protect the rest of the car. Unfortunately, replacing those parts wasn't an option. Bugatti wasn't selling them. The VIN blacklist was still active. Every damaged component represented another obstacle. For a moment, it seemed as though Bugatti's prediction might actually come true. Then came one piece of good news that changed everything. The heart of the Chiron had survived. Hidden beneath layers of damaged carbon fiber sat Bugatti's masterpiece. The legendary quad-turbocharged W16 engine. Producing 1,500 horsepower, this engine isn't just rare. It's one of the most sophisticated internal combustion engines ever created. Many feared the collision had destroyed it. If that had happened, the rebuild would almost certainly be over. But after careful inspection, Matt discovered something incredible. The engine block itself was still intact. Even the transmission could be separated without catastrophic damage. That discovery completely changed the project. Instead of trying to replace the soul of the car, the team now had a chance to save it. But another critical component wasn't nearly as fortunate. The gearbox mount that was never meant to be repaired. One of the most severely damaged parts was the gearbox mount. This wasn't a manufacturing flaw. It was intentional. Bugatti designed the mount to fail during a major collision. By breaking apart, it absorbs impact energy and protects the expensive carbon fiber chassis from even greater damage. It's a sacrificial component. Once broken, you're supposed to replace it. There was just one problem. Nobody could buy a replacement. The Blacklist made sure of that. To Bugatti, the damaged mount was simply another reason why the car should never return to the road. Matt saw it differently. Instead of giving up, he searched for another solution. A specialist TIG welder carefully rebuilt the shattered mount piece by piece. It was an incredibly delicate repair, one that many believed couldn't be done safely. Yet, when the finished component was inspected, it proved that even parts considered disposable could be given a second life by skilled craftsmanship. That repair became a turning point, because from that moment forward, the project stopped being about replacing parts. It became about creating solutions. Every day brought another problem. Every damaged component forced the team to think differently. Without factory support, there were no instruction manuals, no technical hotline, no official replacement parts arriving overnight. If something couldn't be bought, it had to be built. One crushed coolant overflow pipe became an early example. Rather than waiting for a component Bugatti would never sell them, the team engineered an alternative using rigid brake hose. Simple, affordable, effective. It wasn't about cutting corners. It was about refusing to let corporate restrictions dictate the fate of the project. Again and again, the workshop proved that creativity could sometimes accomplish what money alone could not. Some components couldn't be repaired at all. They simply no longer existed. So the team did something remarkable. They started manufacturing them. One craftsman, known simply as Bob, spent dozens of hours fabricating a completely new front crash bar by hand. This wasn't decorative trim. It was a critical structural component responsible for protecting the car during future impacts. Every measurement had to be exact. Every weld had to be flawless. There was no room for error. Bob's contribution didn't stop there. The Chiron's cooling system required 10 radiators. Finding replacements was impossible. So he built them himself, one after another, each carefully crafted to meet the demanding cooling requirements of Bugatti's monstrous W16 engine. Think about that for a second. A workshop that Bugatti refused to support was now manufacturing parts for one of the world's most exclusive hypercars. The impossible was slowly becoming reality. At this point, something interesting happened. The rebuild was no longer about restoring the Bugatti exactly as it had left the factory. It was becoming something different. Something uniquely its own. Each custom-made component represented an opportunity to improve. Each engineering challenge inspired a better solution. The project had transformed from a simple repair into an exercise in innovation. And the biggest surprises were still ahead. Because one of the most controversial decisions of the entire rebuild involved something nobody expected. The airbags. When Bugatti refused to supply replacements, Matt discovered another solution that would leave automotive enthusiasts arguing for months. Could parts from an ordinary Audi really work inside a $6 million Bugatti? The answer would shock almost everyone.